Of course, we continue to keep track of what's happening in terms of the protest. Let's get a sense of what's happening with regard to Wits University. This morning, 2 students were set to appear in court on charges of public violence. Joining me on the line now is Wits SRC Secretary General Fasiha Hassan. Good morning to you, Fasiha. Firstly, what kind of support is the SRC offering to those students who are in court this morning?
So there were 2 students who were arrested yesterday. We got them released at around 9 p.m. last night. We've got legal assistance for them, and to my knowledge, they haven't actually yet appeared before the magistrate. But we're confident, the lawyer said that it's likely that the charges will be dropped. This morning, we've told students to rest and recuperate. We need to use the opportunity. Wits University has suspended academic process, which allows us sometimes to strategize on a more national level to try and link up with other struggles in other universities. We're hoping to have a mass meeting this afternoon that can consolidate a list of internal demands and really just see how we can move forward. But more importantly, one of the issues that we're now looking at to try and intervene in is the issue of police brutality and private security. We're trying to engage various stakeholders. We're trying to discuss with government and with others about how we can prevent this kind of police brutality.
Fasiha, I'm not sure that you've seen part of the response that has been issued by various government officials and also officials within the ANC. Let me begin with what Higher Education Minister Bladen Zamande has had to say this morning, describing part of these protests as pure thuggery. What's your response to that?
I don't think it's fair to say. We have a very, very genuine student core. And it's not just a student core, it's now growing beyond. Unions, etc., are now sort of throwing their weight behind the call for free education. But it's also quite disingenuous because last year they wanted to take ownership and say, oh, Fiji is for, these are our children. And now when we disagree with them, no, these are hooligans, etc., etc. So we note the kind of double standards and the inconsistency in how things are being dealt with.
And what about the ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe saying that he thinks that universities should be closed for a year, and then after that students will realize that education is important for their future and that you're not doing anyone any favors by studying. Do you think that they understand your cause?
For the NCSG to say we're not doing anyone a favor by studying speaks to the fact that they believe that education is a privilege and not a right, which goes against the entire constitutional principle. It goes against the Freedom Charter itself, which speaks about education, rather the doors of education being opened. And it's very disingenuous as well, because here we are in a space not trying to totally disrupt and collapse the system, but we're seeing that there are genuine calls that we've made from January, even before, in fact, from October last year, that have not been dealt with. These are not new matters that we've raised. They're just matters that have not been dealt with up to now.
Well, the ANC has, made its position on this matter quite clear. Last year, they were one of the main stakeholders that students engaged when the fees must fall protest reached its apex, really. When you talk about the national mobilization that's going to be taking place and the meetings being held, who exactly will you be taking this fight to?
We have identified a few targets, particularly that within the state, but also within the private sector, because the private sector, so the state is saying they may not have enough money, which is a questionable debate anyway. But if that's what is the genuine case, then there's a role for the private sector to play. The private sector now needs to thoughtfully and properly invest in the higher education system. And it's not just about giving bursaries, it's about proper substantive investment in the sector.
All right, so I'm going to leave it with you for now. Fasiha Hassan telling us there that students at Wits University will hold a mass meeting later on this afternoon and that they're going to be planning mass mobilizations with other campuses to see how much support they can rally together amongst themselves.